Hi everybody, it is Indy here. I've tried my very best to get onto YouTube. I've tried my very best to get onto Rumble, but nothing seems to kind of want to work. I've tried to set up a spaces and then it's just, I don't know what it is, but something about the tech is just not wanting me to get online at the minute and is driving me to fucking distraction. So I'm just gonna record this, put it up there, and just drop some questions, and we'll kind of do a live afterwards and whatnot. I'll get back to you. So on the independent news show, where I was going to be showing the videos about the projectile and what it is that I see, just to try and give a little bit of clarity and a little bit of context into what it is that I see and why it is that I see it. There is an outstanding load of evidence all the way around this event. However, because we've been programmed to kind of see these big, busy kind of drones, and we're just only looking for, these kind of noisy little critters that are flying around the sky. When it comes to thinking about something that could be stealth, something that could actually become quite invisible to the eye, is not until you can kind of smash through that sheet of glass or that lift the curtain to remove that block, can you actually see it. So this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to talk about today. Just to add in a couple of little other things later on as well, but I'm at home, so I'm not even in work in the studio at the minute. So we're going to make do, my friends. We're going to make do. So let me just turn y'all to the techno, to the screen. And let's have a little look. So I'm going to use the video that I've put out on social media, and just to help give the context. So Charlie, Mike, and then Projectile. You can see from the footage itself that is very pixelated, very blurry, where I've changed the contrast to move into negative, so it inverts all the colours and things. And with this, you get this change in the pixelation, which shows up the projectile. In the normal kind of contrast and brightness and filters, it doesn't tend to give you so much clarity as to any changes, any lifts. The same goes for just seeing where the ridge in Charlie's t-shirt is, where the magnet's connected. But I digress, we're not here for that today. So working through the video, projectile is the dot. And this dot, when it goes into the next frame, appears then onto Charlie's throat, onto his neck. So that's very difficult to see in real time because we're so focused on everything else going on around him. But the entry wound, which is there, shows up in this filter. As you can see, when it drops, there's the projectile. Just a sec, I'm just being a douche. And then it drops up into Charlie's throat. So the frame for the projectile into the neck, into the zone 2 area of the neck, which is why I've been so kind of ardent about the way in which we need to be focusing on this, because every time that we're focusing on this mic, every time we're focusing on this area is being completely ignored, where you can actually see, without having to invent anything, where you can actually see what is going on. Now, bearing in mind that this on here, the projectile looks as if it's as big as a marble, but in real time, when it's going that fast and that quick, and it enters into the neck, where it gets kind of drawn in to where it begins the permanent cavitation, which is the damage. If you've ever seen Range Day Bros ballistics, when you can see the bullet going into the gel, that is exactly the same as what's happening now. It's going into Charlie's neck and is creating this expansion where the cells are starting to react to the trauma, where different cycles and systems and processes are being shut down, cut off, and the body is preparing to react to it. So yeah, so it's going to come down, projectile, neck. As we move into this now, this is the bit that everybody gets a little bit like, what the fuck are you talking about, woman? All right. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because the internet does not want me to put this out in a live form. For whatever reason. Wink, wink. Okie dokie. Right. This now is the drone. Why I believe is the drone. Because It is. It just is. Okay, I've gone over it many times. Just a quick recap. There are these drones out there that are called either nano, they can be miniature, they can be called loitering miniature systems as well. So with this, they are designed to stop and wait for the signals, which is why I always say that is a loiterer, because with a loitering drone as well, it needs the second command. It needs a human in loop. So for me, the first signal was the stay there. And then the second is the cheeky little flick of the wrist, which I think Frank came into his move a little bit too soon. And you got Slick Ricky on the other side there, and that pops up his sleeve, which is completely out of time also. Whereas you have Dan with his flick of the wrist, which is proven to be what is called a hand gesture control as well for a drone, which they recognise. But I digress. This is what I was waiting for. This is the loitering. So let's have a little look first. So just in this area, you'll start to see it begin to appear. It comes around through the side of the tent, and then it begins to do something that's like gearing up. It's creating this energy, and this ball of light just there, this is where it's, I'm not sure whether that's like an infrared sign or what's not a sign, be blowed, an infrared, what do they call it, piece of glass thing on the front. Sorry my friends, it is really late year and I'm sick and tired of technology right now. This is where the infrared light will come through, or it could possibly be the camera. You can see just here on the end, there's a little antenna, which is used for kind of gearing through, picking up signals. You can see that it is beginning to move through. It drops a little flap where it lowers the munition and positions it. And then there's the 1, 2. There's the shots. Now I know that this is like a quick explanation, but I promise I'm going to go back. We're going to look at it again. So you can see here it's loading up. See the little flap just drop down? That's when it's starting to move through kind of the systems that it has. So autonomously has been told this is what's going to happen as long as you receive these 2 signals. So by the time it comes up, this moment, stand there or stay there. And then what's his name? Dan has done his okie dokie. And so there is at full readiness. 1, 2. There's the projectiles coming across. So when you time this against what Dan needs to do, when you time this against the AI autonomous voice control of stay there, stand there, you can see that the movement within this drone corresponds to the way in which the projectile is then seen at that point with the microphone, and then the further movement then into Charlie's neck. I'll take it back just once more before we move on. So yeah, so there's the drone dropping down the flap. Charlie's reaching forward to answer Hunter. So you can see there is posed as loitering. Stay there begins to come through. And then that's when it starts to gear right the way up. Dan starts to do his Macarena, which then becomes the second signal. And then there's the munitions that's been shot across and into Charlie. Looking at it just a little bit closer, so I've zoomed in. Here it is. It's come around the corner. And you can see the rest of the device as well, just above it. In no part is there a specific reason why there's the amount of drones, the swarm around the tent at the beginning when Charlie is walking in, because that gives cover. They can create a frequency that will kind of thwart the way things are recorded as well. And then in this instance, it's only caught from this angle because of the way in which I believe that the speaker has been interfered with, which has given us a little bit of a loophole to be able to see the device. Because when they've had to come and, let me just turn up this speaker just here, that's caused like a wealth of issues for the sound table, because the frequency then changes the way in which a command can be fed to an AI autonomous drone. So it gives us this cheeky loophole, which thankfully is there, because then it breaks the way in which frequencies and everything can pick up, which is why on another level, I think that this has been a little bit of an expo for trialing different systems to work as one to take out Charlie. So drone, if we just continue, and if you can see the flap, this is why it's not behind, because it is in front of the flap of the tent, this corner piece. So you can see that Charlie's going forward. This is loitering now, is maintaining the same energy. Stay there is now heard, and it begins to fully power up. Dan's doing the Macarena, and then you'll see the double shot. 1, 2. Now, in this moment, when we're all being focused on Charlie, just lowering his microphone. If I just take it back. When Charlie begins to lower his microphone, we're not aware that the projectile is there and has already hit him in the throat before he goes any lower than even below the freedom on his t-shirt, which is why we begin to get this little drop down. We begin to see these things called physiological reactions. Let me just draw this back out a second. So you'll see it come down, projectile, and then into the neck. I'm not sure if I hope that's picking up on this, but I do apologise, I'm a bit crappy there. So the movement really kind of foxes the mind as well, which is, I think, is why they've done it in this specific way. I think the necklace, the chain, was definitely an unforeseen event, to be honest. They didn't expect that path around. They just expected this clean through hit. But we do have here then this drone, which isn't back by the corner of the tent, is actually off to Charlie's left. And as I stated just now, is in front of the tent flap, is in front of everything that is behind. Because I've been asked, is it a ray of light? Is there someone doing something behind? But it's definitely not. It is in front of the tent flap that runs at the side. And then just a little close up. So it comes around, then it begins to kind of loiter, sizing things up. There's the flap, there's the loading the munitions. Charlie's coming up, and you'll hear the stay there, counting or not counting gang violence. Then he begins to lower. And just there then on Charlie's face, you can see that he's beginning to already present then what are called the physiological reactions. His shoulder comes up, everything goes around, and you know the rest. So let's just have a little look at this. This is to kind of reinforce the is not behind the tent, is not happening underneath the Hall of Flags. So you'll see the blue line, that is the end of the flap. In fact, I've given it a little bit more kind of grace, okay? And then as you'll see then, everything starts to appear in front of it. It doesn't fall behind the darkness of the tent flap. Everything falls in front of this. You can see how big it is in this filter, where you can see it running through the motions. You can see how the energy runs through the whole device, where you can see, yeah, it looks very tiny. Because it is 1 and 2. I'm just going to let you kind of see this as well for the t-shirt. Oh, in fact, let me just run back over this bit again, just once more. So the drone starts to gear up. Charlie is going down. This is a little bit more intensive then, because again, when it's in normal color, as we've just seen, you can't really see a lot. But then once you've seen it in this way, and then you go back to looking at it in kind of normal human looking eyeballs, it does make more sense. I don't know if that's the same for everybody else, but it most certainly is for myself. So as we look through this again, this is kind of the nexus point of either the infrared or the camera, because these are in fact first person view. So that's the nonsense that's on Frank's phone. As this begins to gear up, you can see the antenna just there. And then you'll see it begin to loiter, shift, move, gear up. Share the vocal command, Dance Dance Macarena. It disappears. And then you can see the energy shift as the projectile's being sent towards Charlie. Okie doke. And just to, let's put to bed this mic. Let's put to bed this mic stuff. That's enough. It's enough with the mic. Okay, we need to really look at this. Now, I appreciate all the work that John Bray has put into it, but I have said since the beginning, before he even started on this, I've tried to point out on numerous occasions what has happened. I'm a tiny account, so this and that, it's probably still going to remain ignored, but at least it's going to be down in their history. Let's keep going. Across the left shoulder of Charlie, just there. So you can imagine now that the chain is down into his top and it crosses over the clavicle, the collarbone, and goes around and meets the other side of Charlie's chain. Down the bottom, there you got the pendants, the cross and everything. So if something was to pierce, as it has gone into Charlie's neck there's something then going to be called the temporary cavitation that's going to occur when everything kind of explodes from the implosion. So everything starts to move in and down towards the right hand side. Because he's been hit on the left, everything is going to move down towards the right. Now, for the mic to be of any consequence at all, there needs to be a right to left movement before this chain even moves. This way, there's the most tiniest of protrusions at the back of the neck. Now, I know about the back of the neck because I was absolutely obsessed with this at the beginning, because I was initially from the story of he was hit from the back, only because of the way in which the t-shirt at the back of the neck moved first before anything else, because at that time we didn't have any of this footage. We didn't have access to good quality images. So for me, looking at it, because I couldn't see anything else, the only thing I could see was the back of the neck move, the back of the t-shirt move, and then the swelling begin to occur in that area. I thought maybe, boom, entry wound. But then as I began to focus on it a little bit more, you know, all the rest of the science and stuff then begins to kick in. It begins to make sense in a different way. So, by the way, ignore this bit of nonsense there. That's my phone. I do apologize. But here we are. Okay, so that bit's gone at the back. This bit kicks into here. So the kinetic energy from this intrusion into Charlie's neck sends out this this energy wave, this hydrostatic wave, that then begins to bang, push out at the same time. So you've got the kinetic exchange into this side of the necklace, which makes it flick out and kind of move with this journey downwards. The weight of the pendants will pull it down. But this bit at the back, that's gone towards from going from left to right again, is carrying the majority of the energy exchange. Has gone both in this direction, sound effects included. So then this energy then has to hit an end point. It's a bit like when you throw a ball at a wall, that energy doesn't expend because it's gone into the ball, it's picked up and whatnot, and then it's got to come back. So it's the same as the energy's gone into the chain, it's begun to travel all the way down here. But at the same time, this side of the chain has got its own form of energy that's going on. So as it comes this way, it meets the end together, pushes back. And then with the temporary cavitation, when that chest expands, when it puffs up, that chest, the rib cage, all the muscles, the neck, the head, from where the edema, the water begins to swell into all the cells, when it begins to try to find a way out. It goes down Charlie's left arm, which I believe in no part, which is one of the reasons why his wedding ring come off. That it needs to find an exit wound, the same as that kinetic energy needs to find an out. So as soon as that energy, boom, meets at the end of the chain and is dropping down, it begins to travel back. So it comes back in that kind of recoil, that whip. So with the pendants and everything as well, they're a massive part of this, because as that energy then draws the chain down, as it up towards the back of Charlie's t-shirt, which is why we see the kind of like a square kind of shape at the back, and then that energy then drags that end of the chain all the way down through while this is puffed out. And this is why we see the pendants, I believe, in the kind of in the collar of Charlie's t-shirt, and then you see the shape of the cross when this part puffs up in that really square shape as well. So in the less than a blink of an eye, the energy has been transferred from one end to the other, to the back, to all the way around with, I know that looks like I'm kind of doing some funky hand movements, but the pendants what brings the chain all the way down inside the shirt, leaving the other end of the chain that we see then hanging out at the back. And I do think that the chain whips down, thankfully, as well. So it's like, motherfucker. But I digress into my personal opinion. Okay, so we keep going. So you can see, right is staying, left. And it moves down, down, down. And then creates that air, that puff. So as soon as that's hit there, you can see it traveling down the shoulder a little bit. That as soon as that lifts, there's this whip around, and at no point at this time has this part gone from right to left. Everything is, the right actually stays very very still, I'd say. And then you've got the left hand side dropping down from the physiological reactions, because all the swelling is happening, everything is pushing, that the right hand side kind of draws in, it creates that wince. So that movement, just that little tick, and then you get that lift and the shift, and it's always left round to the right. This little bit by here, this magnet, doesn't move at all. It is always in one place, even when the right hand side makes the movement across. There isn't any, and for me anyway, underneath movement. There is nothing. And again, you cannot have this wound, those physiological movements happening, without there having had been an injury, an impact before any of this happened. Those things couldn't be caused by a mic that hasn't even made an appearance or made any actionable movements as yet. So if you just have a little look again, it drops down, then it all lifts up all the way through. You can see how it shifts and then comes in to the front. And if you watch the way that it plays, that it goes around, and then when it's rewound, it comes back. And at no time does that mic make an appearance? Does it make an explosion? Does it make a blast? It's all there. And you can see that Charlie's already been hit. Love him. And even at this point, can you now see the expansion of his physical form? You can see where the chest is lifted. So it's not only that the t-shirt has expanded, as we see in kind of really quick succession of movements and things, that you can actually see his physical body as just blown outwards. Now again, you can't have this mic, which is attached, doing anything at all to this without having had the explosion. So I need to know when that blast occurred, because that blast isn't from there. It isn't from, it is physics. It is something that has happened. I don't believe that they accounted for the chain, because this has actually been, I don't know, I don't want to say like a divine intervention, because if there was a divine intervention, God would have stopped it. But there's some sort of recourse that's been brought in to stop it playing out exactly as it was planned. And just with the drone as well, that when it comes into the picture, I mean, I know, unfortunately, we're kind of zooming in on the pixelation of the stupid TV as well. But you work where you go, my friends, you work where you go. Can you see just here? There's already the loitering gearing up. Let me show you again real time. Comes in. It's already deciding what's going to be the best course of action for itself. You got the hunter kind of questions. And then you've got the shot. Now, during this, what you'll notice, at one point, there is another drone that drops down and does this little confirmation loiter just there. Let me play it for you again. For years, this maniac going over there. And then you can see where the people, where everyone's walking past, where the actual line of the tent falls, where it is. So then you'll see the drone begin to move in. It begins to make some kind of, it looks really weird, like it's kind of locking and loading onto Charlie. And I think that that's what the camera people are doing as well, that they're seeing where it is. So here it is, it comes just into by here. You see it begin to make the movements. Then you see the flash of lights as it starts to take in kind of the rest of the commands of what's going to be coming next. Did you see that little loiterer come in just then? Take it back just once more. And you'll see it drop down. There, loiters, and then goes. It's kind of like that, like it's marrying up what's going to be best for it, you know? This area just there. Gearing up. Watch it again in a different filter. Let me zoom out a little bit. See if I can remove those lines that you can't see in your eyeballs. If the phones don't like kind of their old screens. You'll see something drop down. So you can always tell by Hunter's hands when he's saying 5. There's the loiterer gone. And there's the move. So again, looking at Tyrell, obviously making himself known because of the fact that the mic interferes with the frequency. And then you have the drone that comes around to do the measuring up. You can see it looks like a little, like a lub blub kind of motion that it makes. So it'll come by here now in a second. So it's come around to the front of the tent. And you'll see the flash of the lights then as it gears up. It's taking in the, is it good enough, is it big enough, are we in the right place? So we're going to go for it, so that this feeds back to the swarm. This feeds back to, to be honest, I don't know if it's got like some sort of, what's it, like a main hub, a main center. But I was curious with the, is it called Navida? They've got portable, workable cabins. And there are a couple of places on site that I'm quite curious. That the one even looks like it's on the back of a truck. So I would be interested in finding out about those as well. But as we know, I've been a little bit more focused on this Nexus. So what do you think? I've allowed you to watch to see what comes to you at this time. Can you see where the device comes in, where it moves through? It's not okay for me to keep telling you where to look and what to look for. I'm hoping that by introducing these things, that when you go and look at your own footage and whatnot, that you'll be able to see what it is that I'm trying to say. And just for devil's advocate, because I've used filters and why and just to show why I do this, we have what is the camera version that we would see and why the filters are in place. So you'll see, I think it's Rob come in, do his camera, and different things. And then the drone has come across the front of the tent. Did you see that move? And that little lub. And the lights. And then this is when it starts to line up. This is when it's like, right, this is go time. Hunter's asking his question at this time. And then Charlie's going to go down, get the microphone. The drone will start to gear up. It'll start to prepare. You see the flap drop down. The munition loads. 2 shots. And I'm just going to turn the volume up for this very next bit. So at the end, I've spoken, and everybody knows about the Adam Bartholomew. I will insist on calling him Andrew for some goodness knows reason. But Adam Bartholomew, yeah, the sound that we hear earlier, where I said about it needs the human in loop, where it needs the AI autonomous interface of the spoken stay there, and why I feel that, pardon me, or why I really think that it is part of the AI is because of this very one reason just here. Listen to this. Did you hear? Try it again. Now, that is exactly the same as what we hear just here. Did we hear? Stay there. Take it again. Can you hear the feedback on the speaker? So you hear in there, excuse me, the command, the AI command. As you can see from Charlie's facial features just there, he's already presenting with the physiological reactions. And so I don't believe that it's the phone or the video that's actually kind of picking up incorrectly because of the way that it is. Because realistically speaking, the position of this camera, the sound should really suck ass when you think about it, because it's so far away. When we find out where it's from, realistically, the sound should be really, really bad, but dramatically louder. So the sound is very snapping. There's no echo from it. I don't really want to let it go any further, and to be honest, I should never have stopped it there. But the speaker, this here, this is the one that they changed. This is the one that they fussed with, didn't they? That they turned up. So it's one of the 4 that they decided, but we need to turn this up. So going to the other side, where you have this one, not fussed with, left alone. And when you hear the sound through other devices, other phones, other recordings, it sounds very bland and very quiet. And when you listen to this, if you notice, the sound isn't any different from when it's being spoken to when you hear the gunshot. In fact, you could just say like it was the sound of the shot was louder than the sound of the voice then. Does that make sense? Let me play the whole kind of, so you can hear the sound. You see the sound is loud. You see how Ginger Rogers getting into place. And you can hear that, for me anyway, the sound of the shot is the same, or on, it's very difficult to explain for someone who's worked with sound, that there is no difference where that sound is coming from. It's not coming from behind. There's no extra echo. The sound is resonating through that speaker the same as the voice. Let me just show you this bit as well. So if we listen to the exact same moment as what we just listened to, tell me what you think is missing. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great. Can you see the difference with the playback? Now, it's nothing to do with a microphone. It's nothing to do with where this person is videoing from. It's everything to do with the sound of the gun and where it's been played. You ready? Hear the difference with the vocal? Now, that is not the sound of a gun coming from way up high and behind. And with the amount of echo that it would have just from the sky above is ridiculous. Let's just listen to it from this angle one more time.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
As you can see, Slick Rick's hand is way too late for it to be anything to do with some sort of palm pistol, as people keep saying.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America
Here he comes.
over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
If you notice on this video as well, watch the way that Dan pauses as he does the flick of, sorry Charlie, as he does the flick of the wrist. I don't know why that's not going off there. Watch the way he pauses before he flicks the wrist.
In America over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
And he holds his hand in place. Now, that's not a general flick of the wrist, my friends. I don't think so anyway, personally. And that's not just because confirmation bias. I genuinely don't see it.
How many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence?
Did you see? He pauses, he does the flick, stop, then he brings it back in. And then you get the gentle kadoosh, the sound. Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, gang, that I'm kind of leaving it out there.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over
Twist.
counting or not counting gang
Stop.
violence? Great.
Let's look at it from this one. So this is from a different speaker again, different angle. And if you notice, what didn't happen in the last one? You didn't get the stay down, the stay there sound. No one said that. Watch this one now. So this is further out.
Do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Now, notice that these speakers, realistically, they, especially this one. Oh, just a second. Let me zoom you out, y'all. Okay. This speaker in particular is my fussed with. It isn't anything to do with where that person is stood. And look how much quieter the vocal, the playback is already.
Too many. Over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
A different sound again. I'm sorry that you had to see that. She sneaks a peek over this way.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Completely different sound again. One more time.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
And the sound is different again. And from my opinion, it is not a single thing to do with where this person is and what they're recording on. What I encourage people to notice as well and to go and have a little look at, Rick Cutler, in no shape, way or form am I sticking up for that person. But if you watch his hands this side and from the last video as well, you'll see that he doesn't have anything in there. He doesn't put anything down. He doesn't release anything. He doesn't throw anything. His hands are very visible the whole time. And I think that is why. Because he is a part of the PSYOP to say, well, they moved their hands. They did this, they did that. And which is why he was brought up in by Brian Harpool and Frank Turek. Because they're getting their excuses in. Whereas I know, and hopefully from this, my friends, that you'll learn and see that it is because that they want you to not know, or they don't want you to know, commands man language here, woman, they don't want you to know that the hand gestures are the final hit. The hand gestures are the go sign, that the hand gestures, that human in loop, which one done it, mutually assured destruction, and if you can't prove which one did it, everybody goes free kind of rule. This is what that is right here, playing out in front of all our eyes. Okay, so as this just works its way through this like bit that I fudged. Okay, so just listen. Now, there was like an echo on this one, but for me, it still didn't come from far and behind. If you listen to the vocals, if you listen to what Charlie's saying, and then you can hear just very faintly the stay down or the stay there command. Can you hear the difference? That is not coming from behind. There is no way that that sound has journeyed past these people. It hasn't. It's just being played louder down in the auditorium. Listen, and you can hear very faintly the stay down, stay there. That sound hasn't gone past those people. It would have had to have journeyed past them because they are in very close proximity to the building behind. The sound doesn't carry across the sky. It's got a depth. And literally, for me, it just sounds like it is playing down and up rather than past and down. One last one. Just for, just for kicks. So that's as it is. For me, there's no bang coming from behind these guys at all. And if we go back to the very first one that we started with, you can hear the quietness of the what's the word? You can hear the huge heavy play from the speaker, whereas here, where they're that far back, where it is off a phone, is exactly the same but quieter. So that's the difference I wanted to point out as well. With devices, like the UVU review video, obviously it's got a good speaker, a good microphone and whatnot, so it picks up differently. These guys here, they are on a phone. They are videoing in that way. So you can hear, if you put them side, listen to them sequentially, you can hear that the same sound but quieter, and that's the difference. The same sound but quieter, but it's the same reverb, it's the same playing. So this is what I wanted to show as well, that this is zone 1, in my opinion, zone 1. This is zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, zone 6. So we've had a zone 1. Let's do this one with you. Take it back. Are you ready? Listen.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Can you hear the difference?
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America
Feedback.
over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
And when you could hear it coming out of a different speaker, so when Charlie says counting or not counting gang violence, when you get it through the heavier version, you get a deeper shot. But then when you're hearing it from the other side, from the other angle, you can really hear the kind of, I want to say like a tinniness.
Been in America over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Let's go back to the very first one when the speaker sounds completely different to all the other ones, as I've just shown. And let's compare the AI, or what I think is the AI. Okay.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Go again.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
What do you think?
Counting or not counting gang violence? Counting or not counting gang violence?
It's a different day, isn't it? When you hear them side by side like that. That the way in which that speaker, that you get the playback from it, you can hear that instruction, which is called also a human interface as well, that you can direct a drone through an AI human interface, where the drone kind of pretty much gives itself the instructions via human voice that is got inside for himself. I mean, if anybody's ever made any AI videos, and then you got the AI kind of narration going on, it is wild, my friend. It is wild that they're allowed to get away with this, you know. So yeah.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Same voice, same path, same breath. I've run it through AI myself, speaking of AI, and I've also run the gun sound through AI, and they all come back with it being blunt, stunted, incorrect. What I'd also really, really love is for someone to check this bottle for me. Why is it different to the rest? Now I know it's like these colors and everything else there, but whatever angle you look at these, this one bottle that Charlie drinks from is always different. I've checked it, I've looked, but I'm not there to go down that route just now. The same as I believe that there was something put into Charlie's coffee, into his tea, sorry, that made him quite, I don't know, not sleepy, but I think it slowed him down a wee bit. So have a little look, have a little check for me if you're looking for something to do, if you're feeling bored, if you want to kind of look into something. That would be something I would say is a massive, massive, a little road to go down. But let's shift gears here. Let's have a little look at this. Just wanted you to have a little look at why I am so hardcore into the drones. Take it back. I will zoom in, and I do apologize again for the lines in the screen. Back as it comes down. Oops, that's me. There ain't no bird. What do you think? Do you think it's a bird? Is it a plane? I better turn up there. There's no bird I've ever seen. I don't know about you, my friends, but yeah, they've had us kind of hoodwinked from the get-go. If you look here at the sky, this is during the setup, the regiment. So then let's just finish on this, where I think that kind of the most heinous of just displays is made, that they are practicing setting up for the perfect height of Charlie's seat. You see a drone come through here in a sec. Which I believe is an autonomous kind of run through as well. I think that the drones have set path. I think that certain people need to be in certain places for this to occur. You watch him now, he'll have a little sit down. This is not me moving the camera, mind, by the way. This is the person who did the filming that day. Can you see at this moment as well, when everything is going on, we've got a Brian Harpool that's come in. The other security guard is stood there. You know, Ginger Rogers, she comes through, she steps into a certain place as well. And if we take it back and just to watch it again, you can see he's there. And then a step. And what is that about? So one of the things that I picked up on as well in relation to this, and I don't really want to go down this rabbit hole completely, but I just want to kind of give a little bit of context as to why I'm as bonkers as I am. So you can see this little run through, this little play, this little set, that everything's all done, in place. Brian is just there. He's there, where he is when Charlie is shot. You've got the other security guard just there. You've got the camera girl. Then you've got other people in different places around. They don't need to be there, but they're all of a sudden in exactly the same place. And then he goes and does this. Now, what is he doing? Is he high-fiving fresh air? Because if you notice, he does exactly the same move when Charlie is shot. And not just this. If you take a look up into this window here, when he steps, you get that double flash. What pray tell is that about? If I kick it on a little ways, I think it goes into like more on this post, focuses more onto the top of the window as well. So this will become now the comparison. So we've just seen during the setup that he practices this step 2, and that you get this little light just up there. Okay, I've put this together to play side by side for what actually happens at the end. So if I just press play, let me just do it again. You can see the double flash of the light. Now, I think that Dan was supposed to step across at that point, but Charlie's necklace, his chain, had many more ideas about what should have been happening, and whips him like a motherfucker, as he deserves. Stepping through. It's very chaotically weird, if you ask me. What do you think? Let me know. There is just so much to cover from so many different angles with this, that it is very intricate and very complex mission. And so we land at the end of just this little look at the videos. I hope that it makes some sort of sense, that Charlie was in the way of so much bad because he wanted to do so much good. And I think Charlie, I think Trump was threatened. Everything is just my opinion. It's not fact. That Trump, being Trump, called whoever it was, whoever that we think is pulling any strings, that he tried to pull their bluff, tried to be like, no, nothing will happen. And I think that they're not going into all the rest of it, that he was threatened and Charlie was the consequence. They took him out. Because when you look at Trump as well, when he comes out for the first time to speak about it, there is grief on his face, but there's also so much guilt that he knew that whatever it is that's going on behind the scenes meant business. And Charlie was a casualty of this, that it was time to pull the ripcord. Something was going on. And what to do with our weekend from the 11th to the 14th. There's so much that's gone on in the world that I feel that was the pivot, that was the turn, because Dan Bongino left the office. It was on July the 11th, I think. And then he came back and he was a different person as well. You can see that he's got convictions in his words now, whereas everybody could see when it was like, oh yeah, there's nothing to see in the Epstein files, nothing. It's like, Bongino, listen, we can fucking see you lying. And then he went for a nice little retuning and come back a different person. The stuff with the wars, the changes, I think there's a very pivotal weekend. Yeah, there's something I'm looking into. I've got a lot of information that I've kind of got to the side for this. But as always, there's always something deeper to be looking into. But more than anything, Charlie would be so disappointed. He dedicated so much and he had so much faith in Trump and the change that he felt that they were all making, that when it can then come down to it, I think that he was killed for trying to take steps outside of all this other political nonsense to create a wave of change all of his own. And there's more to come on that again as well. Let's just listen to Charlie for a moment.
The guy that says stuff you shouldn't say, or the person that sends $200 billion on unnecessary war in Ukraine, so 1 million people died. You have to choose. Which one would you rather have? Monopoly or someone that funds wars around the world? Well, no, it's important because I wanted to hear from you, though, because you obviously are not a supporter of Trump, and Trump is constantly under this attack that he's immoral and he's terrible, yet we never judge the actions of our leaders who continue to have wars around the world where people die. Is that immoral to do?
It is immoral, but
I agree. So then why are we so fixated on the language of Trump and not on the actions of our current leaders?
See, first of all, our current leader, Biden, is not running for presidency this year.
Well, no, but the vice president is actually, and she's also in charge.
She is, but not in charge the same way Joe Biden is currently.
Well, Joe Biden's certainly not in charge, so who's running the government?
Who is running? What's your answer to that?
I don't know. Like, we don't know who's running the government, actually, and it's horrifying. I mean, Kamala Harris went to the Munich Security Conference and provoked Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine. She was in charge of the border. She was the border czar. The point is this, is that you can look through Donald Trump's language. People say he lies. He actually exaggerates, and those are two different things. But Donald Trump doesn't get in trouble for his exaggerations. He gets in trouble for telling the truth. And I'll give you an example. He gets in trouble for all of a sudden saying, oh, wow, the border's wide open. You're not allowed to say that. You seem super happy. Have a great day. Thank you. The most exciting developments from last week's negotiations is the new church committee. And one of the members of that new church committee is one of my favorite members of Congress. He loves the Constitution. He loves liberty. He's honest and he's tough, and he's going to really go after the intel agencies. It's Thomas Massie, who's just terrific, from Kentucky. Congressman Massie, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Charlie.
Seek!